Hello, beauties. My name is Key, and welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to be talking about how I met my husband, the steps I took to get my husband, and how I prayed. So, if you want to know how I did that, then keep watching. So this story is going to take place from my bed because I'm feeling great. It's raining outside. So I thought I'd get cozy and get in a relaxed environment when I'm telling you the story of how I met my husband and how God actually had a great hand in that. So we're going to go back to when I was in college. So I was a freshman in college, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I just wanted a husband. So I remember calling my mother because I really didn't know. I knew I was thinking about like the steps to getting a husband, and I just wanted my mom's advice. So I called my mom, and it's really not the typical conversation that you would have with your mother when you are calling from your college dorm. But I called my mom, and I was expressing my feelings and saying, Mom, I want to have a husband. And so I was telling her just what I felt about it. And then my mom's response was, well, if you want to have a husband, then pray to God for the husband that you want. But the words that stuck in my head was be specific. So she said, you want your husband to be nice looking, right? You want your husband to be good, because my mother's thing was, she said, you have to look out for the kids. I just thought that was cute. So I said, okay. So she said, you might pray that he be kind. And so there were some other things that she said concerning what I would want. And what was really interesting to me as far as the conversation went is that a lot of times when we have an idea of what we want, as far as typically it, and I would say for the most part, there's a specific person that we may have in mind. For myself, I don't recall there being a specific person, and I know that there were guys that I did like, and wasn't sure if those were husband material as far as what I would want in a long time mate. But her words rang in my head, be specific. And so I began to write down what I wanted, because she suggested that I write down what I wanted. So I started to write it down. And I remember just getting down on my knees in my dorm, and I started reading my list off to the Lord and telling him what it was that I wanted in a husband. And once I did that, I just put my list away. And what was very interesting was that I just literally thought it was in his hands at that point, because I had did, everything that my mother asked me as far as asking the Lord for what I wanted, because she said, well, he wants us to come to him. And I will be honest, as far as what I've seen and how long I've lived, as far as my length of years, what I've seen is that when we don't allow the Lord to be guidance in our lives, and especially when it comes to something very important like a mate, we get really caught up in feelings. We get caught up in love and what our heart says. And a lot of times we know truly that a person is not for us, but we think, number one, we can change them. Number two, we just feel like this is the person I want. This is the one. And it doesn't matter what anyone will say. We know that if someone tells us not to be with somebody, we're going to want to be with that person even more. And you may have had those experiences where, a girlfriend of yours is dating somebody that you don't care for, but at the end of the day, that you get the bad vibes about the person. But it's something about her heart and something about her specific love for the person that says, regardless of how this person makes me feel, negative or positive, I want this person. So my logic goes out the door, because this is the person that I want. So I will be honest. I was dating a guy at the time, and I did love the person. So I didn't know if that was the person that was going to be my husband. So I will say, when I met my husband, so I'm going to fast forward and say I left my specific letter, and I went on about my life. So I did have a boyfriend, and at the time I thought, I really like him, and I wouldn't mind marrying him, because I was in love with him at the time. And blessings and God's grace, I had a cousin, one of my favorite cousins, lived here at the same time, and she was much older than me, so she had a lot of wisdom to give to me. And so she asked me one day, what was it that made me want the one guy that I was dating? And I told her, I gave her a list of everything. He has a car. I love him. He's nice looking, different things like that. And so that was one of the conversations that we had. So when I met my husband, now this is the funny and good stuff, okay? When I met my husband, I was working at Lady Foot Locker. So the Lord allowed a chain of, God will put things together. So he allowed a specific chain of events to happen so that I can meet my husband. So everything that I asked for on my list, he gave me in my husband. But I did not know that was getting ready to happen to me, okay? So when I met my husband, I was 18 years old. We've been married 23 years now, okay? And I'm going to go back to how we met. I was working at Lady Foot Locker, and my husband had come to the mall with his friends so that he could buy a car for his girlfriend that he had at the time. So he did not know that I was going to be at the mall. I really wasn't even supposed to work that day, but I came in and I worked. He was not supposed to have a car because he didn't, but his brother came into town and for whatever reason gave him the car, which we don't even know to this day, because my brother-in-law, I couldn't even imagine him doing that. Like, we know as God, we laugh about it to this day. But when my husband met me, he came in and gave me a card. He had a card for his girlfriend, but he also saw me and brought a card in to me. What he didn't know is that I saw him on escalators going down, and I was actually going down to get something for my manager at the time when I saw my husband on the escalator. So of course I didn't know him at the time. Immediately I got butterflies and I got like these chills. I was excited. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had to cut off the notifications. So, when I saw him on the escalators, I got chills. I was just thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like this guy, I remember what he had on, and I was thinking to myself, he's got these beautiful, he dressed very, very preppy, okay? So he had, everything was together, polo, khaki, jeans. Well, they weren't jeans, but pants. And he had polo boots on. And I remember his button down Tommy Hilfiger shirt. And he was just very well put together. And I didn't know that he was from one of the colleges here in Georgia as well. My husband was going to Morehouse College. So he was talking to a friend going down the elevator, telling him how he wanted to be in business and what he wanted to do. So that was very intimidating to me. I got off. He didn't notice that I was behind him. I went right back up the elevator, and I told my boss I could not get this cookie that she wanted me to get from downstairs, because this guy had went downstairs and he was just giving me the chills, and I needed to go back upstairs. So he ended up afterwards eating. I didn't know that he had noticed me previously. He had walked by and saw me in the store. And it's something I will say, I'm going to stop for a minute, because God made him notice me. God had me to notice him. When we look back at how God did everything, it was a setup. Okay. I asked God to be involved in my life partner. And because I did that, he got involved. And so at this time, keep in mind, I'm still dating another male. Okay. Obviously, I have a boyfriend, which I mentioned, and my husband now, he came inside Lady Foot Locker, gave me a card, and it had his number in it, and I called him, and we were like seeing each other like I think it was 2 days afterwards, in his birthday, because his birthday is on Valentine's Day. So we ended up meeting up for Valentine's Day. I spent the day with him on his campus, and it was just amazing. Now, my husband and I, we have, like I said, been married for 23 years. I'm kind of moving around because I want to explain something. I remember when I told you my cousin asked me about my husband. Well, she asked me about my current boyfriend at the time. What was it about him that made me want to be with him? And I told her that he was good looking. He had a car. I was really into him. I loved him. And then I explained at the time why I would not want my current husband now to be my boyfriend. And that was because he did not have a car and he was riding the bus. And I probably gave some other kind of crazy excuses. And my cousin said to me, but that's what you see now. So if you were to stick with him, then once he is able to do those things, then he'll look back and see that you have always been there for him and with him. So I said, she's right in this. And I decided to choose wisdom over just my feelings. I did end up breaking up with my boyfriend at the time because it wasn't about at that moment anymore. It wasn't about feelings because God was already moving in our lives at that point. So it was more about how God was leading us together like magnets. And we always say we're like Hancock and his girlfriend or his wife on a movie Hancock, how they always seem to come back together. And that's how my husband and I are. We always seem to come back together no matter what happens, no matter what we go through. He is my life partner. I know that. There's no doubt about it. We have the same birthdays, like as far as the days our birthdays are on, and even our children have the same days. It's incredible. But I see where God had also, not just did he give me the husband of my dreams, he just didn't give me an excellent life partner, but he gave me more than what I asked for. So my husband, he was caring, my husband's loving, he calls me his princess, he makes me feel amazing, like I'm the only woman on earth. And even though we've been married 23 years, everyone in our life can tell how much my husband is for me. He is my biggest supporter. He is my best friend. And he will go out of his way to make sure everything in my life is going and moving good if he is able and capable and it's possible for him to do physically. My husband prays for me. He prays over me. He prays over our children. He is a godly man of God. And then we were told also by our prophetic mentor that he was moving in the prophetic, and so was I. So I say all this to say that when I was asking the Lord for a husband, I had to forego my feelings because I started seeing the miracles and things that were happening concerning me and my husband that was not letting us depart from each other easily in any type of way. Anytime we were together, once we were together, that was really it. Everybody else just faded into the background. Even though I didn't really think, it just wasn't on my mind that this was my husband. Even though he was everything on a list, everything, it didn't equate in my mind because I had somebody. And so the reason why I'm saying this is because to be female, we usually lead with our feelings and we lead with what we want to happen. But if you follow the steps and you ask the Lord, you have to trust that he is going to give you exactly and actually better than what you expect or want. But we have to have patience. And when I did, like I said, when I wrote down what I wrote and I prayed to the Lord, I left it alone. I didn't think about it again. And God, he made the pieces fall in place. And I mean, I remember telling my husband I wanted to do this video, and he was excited for me, and he went to go look up a picture for me to use. And actually, it was a picture of us when we renewed our wedding vows. So I'll show those pictures at the end of, we were married 20 years when we renewed our wedding vows on a cruise. So I will include those pictures. The picture that is in our thumbnail was a picture that we took at a friend's wedding. Then we have a picture that we took when we were in Vegas. So we just have a life that is just, it's about a partnership, a love, a respect. And when my husband looks at me today, he says I'm even better than what I was when we got married. He treats me like he is his first time laying eyes on me. He cares for me and he gives me love, and he literally does complete me as far as what a king is supposed to be for his wife. Now, if I had went with my boyfriend that I had at the time, I can more than guarantee you we wouldn't have been married long. He was a cheater. He wasn't a husband figure. He wasn't he just didn't have the qualities to be that. Okay. And for any of the others that I had dated, when I think back of it, they just didn't have the qualities that I know who, who they are. You know who you can connect with. And a lot of times when we think about who we love now, we have to think about writing down what their great qualities are, and then so what the pros are and what the cons are. And don't be led by your feelings if you're making excuses and you are just going to push the agenda. So you're going to make it happen. If you feel like you have to make something happen and it's not flowing, God is going to order your steps. He's going to bring the man to you. I didn't have to go to my husband. Actually, like I said, I was running from him and he came to me. So who God has for you, trust me, you're going to know. God's going to make it clear to you. And you won't, it usually, for the most part, is not who you think it's going to be. And all the stories that I've heard over all the years that I've been living, I have never heard a story where it was like, this is who I have heard stories where someone said, that's going to be my future wife. Now, and then that has worked out. But if it's like abusive relationship or something that's toxic and you're always fighting and arguing all the time, and you know in your heart that this just doesn't feel right and it's just not good for either of you, and it's almost like it's not profiting anything, it's not benefiting your spirit, his spirit, it's turmoil, it's God is not going to give you something that's going to have you worried, your hair falling out, you can't eat, you constantly talking to your girlfriends about it, you constantly checking his phone, you can't figure out where he is, he's not home, what's he doing, he's lying to you, women are popping up telling you about, we got to trust that God wants the best for us. And if he made us, he's got the perfect mate for us. So my suggestions would be specific. Whatever you want. I did ask the Lord that my husband be handsome to me. Okay? That he be handsome to me. That he, is able to provide for me. And that he is good and caring to me. So it was other things I just can't remember because I was so young. But we've been married 23 years. I love him. And I am so happy that I did what I did. Because had I followed my own instincts and my own feelings, then I would have been probably on round 2, 3, and 4, and whoever knows what. But God knew what was best for me, and I thank God. And I'm scared to even think what would have happened if I had never prayed the prayer, if I had never wrote it down. Write it down, make it clear. In the verse or the chapter, let's go back. I'm sorry. In the Bible, in Habakkuk. Okay, so I can't remember what chapter it is, but and if I'm gonna put it down here. But anyway. It says to write the vision down, make it clear, okay, or make it plain. So if you write down what you want, make it plain, and then present it to the Lord. Bring your request to the Lord and just let him know this is what you want. Once you put it in his hands, leave it there and trust that he's got you and trust that he wants the best for you and he will provide for you. I'm going to come back another time and we're going to do a husband-wife Q&A. There's other things I want to do with my husband that he's very happy to do, which I'm thankful for because we want to help others out there. So I just wanted to tell you that a little bit, and I hope it helped. I hope it causes you to think. I hope it causes you to get your pen and paper and to write down. You might not know who your husband is, and that's okay because I didn't. But now I do. Now I'm grateful to the Lord, and now I have a very my marriage is doing really, really good. Praise be to God. But it's because God's in it. So that's that. And I hope that helped. Write it down. Let me know what you think. And let me know what happened. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Wait a minute. Don't leave. I forgot to tell you to like, to subscribe, and to share. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button and let me know that you liked it. Please subscribe. And if you want to hear more of videos and some of my other experiences, please hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of those videos. And please share with anybody that you know could use it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.